Hey everyone, this is Caitlin.
And this is Lacey and Silas.
And this is Women in the Trailer Industry. Today, last week we talked about how you are enough as an individual, your worth, everything like that. But this week we're going to talk about when your skill set isn't enough and what that looks like and how you can improve that skill set. So Lacey, kick it off. What are some things you have to say on that?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people can find themselves in this position. I think the first thing that you should really think about is when you aren't finding that you have enough skill to determine, is it not enough skill or is it that you're not paying enough attention to detail? Because I feel like sometimes your performance can make you look like you don't have the skill, and that's just you not following through and being thorough on your job.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I think to identify. If you really don't have the skill, there's a lot of resources you can reach out for, trying to figure out how to do that job better and to learn those skills. And I think the first thing before you even get to resources is listen to what the feedback is that's coming from your higher up. So if that feedback is that this specific thing is wrong over and over and over, maybe it's not the same thing, not the same detail about the bigger picture that's wrong, but it's always that one big project that's wrong, then you need to be checking that every day. You need to be going through that motion every day, being on top of that and thorough. And then when you realize it's still wrong, maybe I'm just lacking the skill that I need. So, I mean, what is the resources that you think are good for that?
First, I want to comment on what you said about at the beginning. I mean, for one, get yourself in check on, is it laziness or maybe is it disorganization? Like, we get scatterbrained, right?
Yeah.
We're doing a million things. And I think that is when kind of some of that attention to detail is missed, is when you're trying to focus on 1,000 different things.
Right.
And you got to make something important and focus on that. The next, like you said, is the feedback and really get those expectations as a leader. I know it's hard sometimes because you have this vision, but sometimes you may not know the details of that vision and you're relying on that person to create it.
Right.
And that can be hard for that person. And I understand that. But it's really one of those things that has to be fine tuned and work together, to figure that out. Resources. So for me, I haven't been in my position very long and there's a lot to learn, but definitely mentorship, finding a network of people who've done it. I mean, we implemented EOS and they have EOS, integrators. They have a whole network for integrators. They have networks for people in your position, and really getting connected in those because depending on what position you're in, it can be, in quotations, lonely, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know, you don't have just constant reassurance. One, you're doing the right thing all the time, or you're going the right direction, or you're leading the right direction. So it's like this constant inner battle of, okay, how do I even know what the hell I'm doing, right? So how do we navigate that? So definitely getting connected in a network, for me, has helped.
Yeah, and I think too, for me, some things that help is first identifying what that specific skill is that I need to acquire. Like over the years, I've had to learn several different skills that I hadn't previously had any skill of. So I would have to first say like to myself, what is the skill that I need? Because I mean, that's just so vague, You're like, I need more skills. What does that mean? So finding out what that specific skill is, and then you have kind of the words to research at that point. And researching, we always say Google's our best friend, but there's so many like helpful books out there. I mean, you could, at this day and age, you could literally say whatever you want and there's going to be a book, there's going to be an article, there's going to be about anything.
Yeah.
Everybody is writing about stuff and there's people with expertise in that field. So just identifying what that skill is that you need. And there's so many different workshops as well that you could attend, and that's time management too. I mean, that's hard to go to those workshops, but
as I was thinking earlier, I was like, okay, so maybe we can put them in these workshops and try to get them to help their skill set and to help them level up. And try to reach what we want them to do. And one thing that crossed my mind was like, okay, but when they bring that feedback, is it just going to be another like off topic left field kind of thing? Or is it something we can implement? Because I want that to be useful, right? And not just distraction. So that's a personal struggle for me right now is how do I know that this workshop is actually going to get them where I'm wanting them to be? Because I want to be receptive in their feedback that they bring me back from that, and not like, well, that's not what I wanted you to do. So screw that. You just wasted your time, because no one wants to waste their time either.
For sure. And I think too, I'm just thinking about like me coming through the ranks of like all walks of life, getting in the weeds, and actually like, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm still invested in it, and every single day, trial and error. Every single day I'm in it. I'm learning something new from just getting into software and figuring it out. And I use software as an example because that's a lot of what you and I deal with. But, it's just actually like looking around and in that software and trying to see, oh, well, if I try this, will it work? And if I don't, oh, that didn't work. Like, I feel like you have really set the tone for that for me. Like, especially like when you talk about NetSuite and anything like that is what do you call it? What is NetSuite? Is it
ERP?
An ERP, yes. So, but like just getting in there and like just going through toggling through and trying to find like, okay, what in my mind would make sense for this to be. And it usually is like in that area. You just have to fine tune those as you work through it. But instead of like, I don't have the skill, so backing off and trying to avoid learning that, getting in it and trial and error at that point and to figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. I think I heard something or read something, I don't even remember what it was, a while back. And it was like, procrastination isn't really laziness. It's that you're procrastinating because a few different reasons. One is it like fear of failure. Like, if you do this, are you going to fail at it, right?
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I try to put that in perspective anytime I'm like trying to drag my feet on something. Is it because I feel like my end result is not going to be to the expectations of someone else? Or is it because I don't have the resources? Or is it because I don't want to do it, right? So also looking at that on projects and, maybe that's where you're struggling, but if it's because of the fear of failure, I mean, just kind of fell through it and get that feedback. Because as a leader, I know I would rather someone be receptive to that feedback and like be receptive to it and then learn. But at some point you're going to have to learn through it, and kind of give yourself some deadlines like, okay, I'm going to have this done because at some point failing constantly at the same thing over and over and over again is going to get redundant to whoever is leading you as much as they're leading, So I definitely think just being cognizant of that deadline kind of that you have an internal deadline for that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and there's a million resources that you could use, but also we talk a lot about being transparent. So like if you truly are coming up short every time and you think you need to work, like you need a skill set that you don't have and you can't figure out what that is, because it does take some time of going through the motions and to realize and be able to identify what that skill is that you need. So if you are at the point where you know you need a skill set, but you don't know exactly what that is that you're lacking in, but you keep coming up short, talk to your leadership. Yeah. Talk to them and tell them like, I swear you won't get in trouble by saying that, because we would rather that than you just slyly get through it, but it's really not ever done. So it's always this elephant in the room. And so you're just pissed. Like, do you really not want to do this or do you not know how? And that's two different things. And that's totally okay. Yeah. But be open about that and communicate so that we can get somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely just ask, right?
Yeah.
Because one, I don't think that the leader themselves is constantly thinking,
right,
this person sucks at their job. They're probably not thinking that all the time. And so they're not thinking all the time how you can improve on this one thing over and over and over again. But what happens is when you come across that in your day to day, and it makes that person even more I guess
frustrated.
Yeah, frustrated that one, it's not fixed. And so coming up front and just asking the question and getting ahead of that.
Yes.
Because I know, like, when we have asked to do something and then you get to it a month later and you're like, oh, is this even on their list? You know, like we go through that.
Yeah,
and so,
totally.
But also, anyways, just ask the question. I mean, so you can get ahead of the train instead of being behind it.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, just to recap, one, identify, is it that you don't have the skill or is it that you just really don't want to do it? And then once you identify the skill that you need, look for resources, ask somebody, have a mentor. There's plenty of online resources. If you don't have time for a workshop, let's be honest, a lot of us don't.
Yeah.
There's other resources. I mean, you can exhaust all of those resources before you get to, and I promise there's enough resources out there and enough research that you can get to that skill, or at least find out something new about what you need to learn.
Yep,
and use that.
Yep. Well, if you're struggling with that, reach out to us in the comments of wherever you're watching this, or reach out to me or Lacey directly at Caitlin at the Trailer Parts Outlet or Lacey at the Trailer Parts Outlet. NATDA, well, NATM is this week. Half the class, sorry, half the staff is going out. Yep. And we hope to see everybody there. And then in August, NATDA is coming up, and we got some big things going there. Women in the Trailer Industry Roundtable.
Yep.
We're going to have a new Women in the Trailer Industry Committee and a networking event. So look forward to those.
We're so excited to see everybody there. And if you want to be on the podcast, reach out to us and let us know. We will totally get you scheduled in so that we won't have to schedule that once we're there. I know it's busy once you get there with your company and you're just going through it. So reach out to us before and we can get you scheduled in. You'll know what time, meet us at that booth, and we can get it knocked out. But it's a great thing for your own company to get the word out there about what you do.
Absolutely. Well, follow us everywhere you stream your podcast, and then also follow Juan Hernandez, Full Send with Juan Hernandez. Yes. Also has a podcast and talks about the latest industry news and things going on in the industry.
Yep.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.